thrilled to say Michelle Williams joins us now from her home in Atlanta. Welcome to the Morning Show, Michelle. Lovely to see you.
Thank y'all so much for having me. I wish I could have been live while you guys were doing the banter about can you handle this or are you ready? I was cracking up.
I don't think I really did it. I mean, in the auto cue it said Sally to sing, and I just felt like I didn't want to bring what was just such a legacy into disrepute.
We're glad you enjoyed it, because you're either going to enjoy it or get up and walk off in disgust, but we're glad you're still here. It's not often you see someone with such a high profile talk as honestly as you have. What made you want to write this book, Michelle?
You know what? I felt like it was time for me to help other people give language to maybe what they've been going through or something in their past, or even if it's not you, maybe language for what a loved one is going through. I had someone the other day direct message me and say, Michelle, this explains what a loved one of mine is going through. And I really thought that that was just so spectacular for them to share with me.
Yeah, and so important too when it comes to mental health, to be able to share that in the community. Let's go back, Michelle, to 2018. In April, you were reunited with Beyonce and Kelly to perform at Coachella. And by July, you had checked into a mental health facility to get help. So what was that turning point?
Well, I would say because those symptoms began, they started in January of 2018. Now, my initial symptoms of depression started way back when I was in the 7th grade in junior high school. But fast forward to 2018. In January of 2018 is when I kind of felt the symptoms kind of coming back on. But I was like, you know, we were in rehearsals for Coachella. And so I was like, you're going to be okay. You're going to fight through this. You're going to be okay. But when you just try to muscle through something and you don't necessarily address what got you there again, or it got you there in the first place, what happened to me in July of 2018 was bound to happen.
Yeah, you weren't diagnosed with clinical depression until you were 30, but you did recognise that something wasn't wrong in your 20s, right? Well, you're still a member of Destiny's Child. From the outside, we were looking at you in your Lear jets and your penthouse apartments and just having the greatest time in the world. But what were you going through behind the scenes at that time?
Well, at the time, like I said, the symptoms of depression for me started way back in the 7th grade. And as a person that young, I didn't have the language or the vocabulary to even say that it was depression. But by the time I got in my 20s and depression seemed to follow me even to a successful life, I could kind of sense like maybe this is depression. And I just remember at the time, you know, people think because you're on tour or you've amassed a different level of income that you don't have depression, especially when it had gone untreated and undiagnosed for that long. You know, since I was 12 years old, however old I was in the 7th grade, you know, that's a long time for a child to bear that.
Did team members know what you were going through at this stage? Did the band members understand that you were in this space?
Not at that time. It really wasn't until definitely in 2018, I was definitely more open and transparent about what got me to that point of July 2018. But off and on, maybe little bits and pieces here and there, but not necessarily the full story. And we almost have to be careful and check in with our friends and make sure that they're giving us the full story.
You weren't quite ready to leave Destiny's Child when you did. Was there a moment you tried to convince the girls to stick it out and to stay together, or were you desperately yearning for a moment to take a breath out of the spotlight?
I wrote in my book Checking In that I was like, wow, it's finally a moment for me to check in. But of course, I kept working and kept trying to find my way solo-wise. And of course, when you are doing so well, I feel like Destiny's Child, we went out at the top of our game, but I felt like we had more to go. We had more to do, you know? But I also had to realize that, you know, Beyonce and Kelly had been doing this since they were 9 and 10 years old. I didn't join them until I was about 19. So, you know, they had about 10 years on me as far as working hard to get to that place. You know, I had my start in the church and a gospel group here and there. But I could, as I'm older and can reason and have logic, I'm like, okay, I can see why in 2006 it was time to call it quits. But that doesn't mean I didn't have a human response of sadness.
You just mentioned, obviously, your affiliation with the church and that your faith has really helped pull you through these dark times. But for people who might not be as religious as what you are, how can this book still help them?
Well, I just want to encourage people that it's not about, to me, it's not even about being religious. It's about my own personal relationship and about your own personal relationship with God. And so I always encourage people that for me, it goes outside of the four walls of a church. And how many of us realize that being stuck during COVID when you couldn't get to church? So hopefully your faith was strengthened during that time. And for me, my faith was the only thing that I had to stand on in 2018. And I really think it was the strength of that really pulled me through, that helped me to see the light.
All right, Michelle, we're nearly run out of time, but we do have to ask you about Britney Spears. Everyone's talking about this today and the conservatorship. You've met and you've worked with Britney. How does it make you feel knowing she's going through all of this now?
Well, sitting back in the virtual green room, kind of listening to what everybody is saying, I didn't know the depth or the magnitude to what Britney has been facing and what she is going through. And so my heart truly goes out to her. Britney is truly a favorite of mine. She was always so sweet whenever we would run into her when we were out on the road. Such a sweet smile and a true gift to the world. And I hope we're able to see more of her.
Yeah, it just goes to show no matter how famous you are, you just don't know what someone is going through. So thank you, Michelle, for speaking to us this morning and for your honesty too. And of course, your new book, Checking In, is available in store and online now.